Richard Sudlack is the state ambassador. You're welcome.
And after what?
Harry Chandler.
Harry Chandler is a safety ambassador.
Stoppers, we think is Lewis.
I'm texting.
Oh, Jim Hill.
Right, I'll try it again.
That's something I've been.
Sorry.
I've done everything.
Yeah, we need to know who Stopper's iPhone is. Can you unmute yourself and tell us who you are?
Cindy, he's probably just listening in the background. That's Steve Topper. He's a member of DVSJ.
Steve Topper.
Steve Topper, a member of Deerfield Valley?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, okay, Lewis will be coming in too. I don't know what all those boxes are. Red or.
Ask if you want to reclaim those.
Does they reclaim most?
Right there, that's what I
Yes, it does.
Dan's got good conditions.
I didn't know.
No, she's.
Stan always has good conditions.
Cindy, I can't see who's on there. So.
We're writing it down.
This person over here.
All right, and the phone number that's up there, Ruth, is Lewis Barnes.
Lewis Farms.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order at 6:10. Sorry for the delay. We had a little technology difficulties there. Recognition of visitors. I think we gave, Ruth, you got the list pretty well? All right. Is Wayne here from Grand Island? No. I just wanted to welcome him. He's a new director on the team. I don't know. So next time we see him on Zoom probably, right?
Yeah.
Make sure we welcome him because I don't think we've done that officially.
Oh, very nice.
Okay, approval of agenda. Everybody should have a copy of the agenda. I need a motion to accept the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed, nay? All right, secretary's report. Everybody should have a copy of that.
Patty, I've got something for that.
Okay, go ahead, Ruth.
I had sent out an email to have it updated or corrected. And some of that got put in there and some got left out. So if you could add to that, the statement I had made in an email, adding down in the portion for the safety committee. It was stated that there was, I have 2 new members, there were some ideas for a safety refresher course, as well as promoting safety at the events with an adventure readiness tent. Also using the 3 Words app and how to use the map, etc. There was discussion also on needing more certified safety instructors. I would like that added to that.
Anybody else have any comments about the secretary's report? Any other corrections? Questions? Need a motion to accept as corrected. With the secretary's report. Marlene? All those in favor say aye. Anybody opposed, nay? All right. Treasurer's report, Mr. Conti, you're up.
All right. Well, I provided a summary via email last night. Cash balances are currently sitting at 3.3 million. Breakdown is in that email if you want to see the balances. For revenue, we're 614,000 under budget. However, we're tracking 54,000 higher than last year, same time frame year to date. Also, this is in the board director packet, the updated profit and loss. I did want to point out that Sheila, the club's accountant, Vast accountant, actually made this report after feedback the last meeting. So any other reports anybody wants, let me know, and I'll work to try to get standardized reports out of our accounting software. So moving on down the revenue, interest was $1,300 over budget. It's on track with prior year. Memberships are under budget by 647,000. It's fluid, has to do with the early birds that ended yesterday. So we should have final number. Sure, it'll track closer to last year. Or budget. Marketing and contract is 72,000 over budget. This is mostly related to the Green Mountain National Forest. There's an offsetting expense. Those are more or less hitting each other. One's revenue and one's expense. But it's within 48,000 of last year's. The other items were more or less on budget. Contracted service and miscellaneous 40,000 under budget, but basically in line with last year's. Expenses are currently 400,000 or 398,000 under budget. Again, mostly due to the Green Mountain National Forest expenses, and year-to-date actual, again, kind of lines up the same.
All right, we'll open for questions. Stephen?
Yep.
Do you have any?
Marketing and contracts, that would fall under the PR and marketing line item, is that right, Steve?
No.
I guess brings back to my question is, you know, how some of the funds were taken out of reserves for some of the PR and marketing that we talked about in the last meeting? As far as the, gift certificates, that kind of stuff.
If it hit that line, it wouldn't be present on here because it's a reserve fund. So if it hit that, it would hit.
Right, but it's not, I guess my question is, how do we get in the future more of a true picture? When we're looking at PR and marketing, that actually came out of PR and marketing, but it didn't, follow me? So how do we get a true picture? Because really that money that was expenditure this year for trying new things was spent, but it's not showing under the correct category because it just came out of it.
You want to see a cash flow, basically. So you want to see.
Well, I don't know if I see it. I'm more along the lines of keeping it accurate so our numbers are real.
So, past any other organizations operate on the accrual basis of accounting, so a lot of the expenses are captured. So if you want to see the cash flow, I can work with Cindy and Sheila to work on trying to get a cash flow that'll show the use of cash. But this P&L is actually accurate for the fiscal year. That I know that doesn't completely answer your question, but I can try to get a cash flow which will show the use of cash.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I'm worried more about categories. So when we're looking at a category and we want to increase, let's say we want to, Cindy might ask for more money into that project. Like if we're doing other things like we did this year, we want to be able to look at that and have a true number and say, well, let's increase it. And my fear is that money came out of reserves that really kind of belonged over there, but we didn't have it in there, so she didn't use it out of there. How do we know that what we're looking at is apples and apples, and we're not looking at, it came out of reserves, so it's really not, but it should be under PR. You know what I mean?
So I get what you're saying, but the point of the reserves is to pull it out of the budget line. So it's another conversation entirely. If it wasn't supposed to come out of the reserves, then it needs to come into the current fiscal year and offset that budget. But because it was pulled out of reserves, it shouldn't be in this year's budget.
So when would it land in the budget? Or
that reserve comes from prior year operations. So it's no longer a budget item. It was stuff that was determined from previous years moved to those specific funds.
So there's really no straight line, or like you're calling it, a way to follow the money coming in or out of reserves, basically.
The control is looking at the balances of those funds, whether it be monthly or year over year, which I can provide you. I have to work. I think they keep it on. Cindy, you guys keep track of that on a spreadsheet.
Yeah. So basically, any expenditure is approved, right? So it's not just me doing it. It's approved by the treasurer. So even when it comes out of reserves, I think what's confusing here is that and it's confusing to me too. And I think we just need to rename it. This is called PR marketing and contracts. PR and marketing is a very small amount of money that we spend compared to the contracts that we have, like with Green Mountain National Forest. That's why that's so I think we need to rename that or break those out.
And that's actually revenue.
Right.
The top line is just the revenue.
Yeah, but it's still, even the Green Mountain National Forest skews that. Because
I'm just more concerned of being in the right category. So when we're looking at it, we're actually looking at true funds.
So you're saying you want to retroactively base the PR budget by the amount that was taken out?
I don't know the answer. I guess I'm asking is, we want to, as a board, know where the money went and what categories it went to. And to me, we all talked about this before, so we understand what happened. I'm just wondering, how do we categorize it? So looking forward, we know it was meant to be in that budget. So when Cindy comes this year and says, PR, I'd like to try this year, but there's not much in PR. Are we going to go out of reserves again on that? Or can we increase PR to where it needs to be because we see that, what we use like, you know what I mean?
So I can't speak to the full budget process, but modifying a budget would be a discretion of the board. But again, I can't go back and move those reserves to that line unless we want to just disallow that as an expense and move it to this year. But again, I think it was an approved use of those funds. And the other thing is the PR and marketing line that you're referring to is the revenue.
Yeah.
So down below, the Green Mountain National Forest, down here, trail and bench. For the one, 191,706.
Yep.
I think it's your marketing and contract summary wording is, because it's, and I see you, Jeff. Because the PR and marketing on this is just the income. Then you have the contracted, which is 2 below, and that's where it looks like it's 72K over budget. But that's all income, and it's primarily due to the Green Mountain.
Sure, I
think
just
it's
want to make sure it's categorized. So when
Yeah.
we're looking at increasing, we know what was spent the year before, you know? And so if it came out of reserves, it's not really showing that it would have been in PR and marketing.
So it would be, and then expenses is on the general fund is on the last
Yeah,
page,
so-
so you can see the PR and marketing actual expenses there.
Yeah, so the expense for PR and marketing are right here, 95,6945. Right down here at the bottom. So you got 2 different sections. You got the revenues and the expenses. So if you're asking what's spent on PR and marketing, that is spelled out individual from the marketing and contract revenue.
I guess my question goes back to where I just think it should have come from, and I guess that doesn't help us. You know, I mean, in other words,
Yeah.
we understand what happened and why it was done, but can we put it in the right category so moving forward it comes? So next year when we have another idea to try to increase, obviously, we're always gonna try to increase members. It can be taken out of PR and marketing, and there's enough in there to do so. And Cindy would be able to regulate that.
So you're talking about during budget time. So that would be like when Cindy and Sheila and the rest of the vast crew make the budget,
Proposed
they
budget,
take that activity into account. You're not gonna get that in the actual.
Well, looking back this year, money that probably should have been out of PR and marketing was taken out. So how do you get a true
yeah,
picture?
so it's their responsibility at that point in time, to your
To
point,
show that.
to make sure that when they budget it, they include that in that line.
And so there's really no line item out of anything that comes in or out of reserves. If we spend money, as every dollar should be on a line item that's spent. So if it's coming out of reserves, it's really not showing like in here.
No, it's not.
Right, because we're on accrual basis accounting, so basically expenses are hitting this as the period they're for. So reserves don't have a period because it's from prior years operating gains and losses. So that's money that's set aside. So it takes it out of the profit and loss.
But we never, unless we're keeping an eye on those accounts, which I have a question on, we don't know if they're spent out of reserves or not.
You do because of the balances in those accounts, which I did include this year. I don't have the spreadsheet that breaks it out, but the balances of those reserves are there. So you've got trail special reserve at 39,540. I forget the other one. Is it the capital reserve, Cindy?
Well, the capital one was the one I had a question on, because
Yes, thank you.
I've got the October for capital special projects and the November for capital special projects.
Yeah.
And there's not much, but there's a $300 discrepancy, so I'm assuming it got spent.
So
But there's no line item saying where it went. And I understand that we all trust everybody and everything's being done right, but how do we know where that money's being spent?
So if you want to see the breakdown of the different reserves and the balances, you can check this month over month because this is provided. This is the management recap report. This lists the different funds. So you've got the capital grooming contingency. I'm not gonna read them all down, all the way down to the capital state land multi-use project. So those balances equate to the different reserve balances in the fund balance of the.
I think he's saying you show the activity if something is. taken
If
out
something's
of there.
spent, shouldn't we show
Good,
that?
because it won't be
Yeah.
any of these.
So let's see, I mean, without having to do a math
I know.
equation,
Yeah,
I should be able to look and see some money was spent.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to find the raise your hand button. I can't find it, but that was what I was gonna suggest is, I think what Patty just said is, if any money is
Someone in
spent,
the room first, Dan.
Stan, I'm gonna put you on the list. You're number 3, okay?
okay, I can't
Jeff,
find the
Jeff,
button.
I got you.
Okay,
Jeff, go ahead. Go
So-
back around.
Steve, do we show an overage in that budget line item for PR marketing or wherever.
So right now, we might show an underage if that was budgeted for and we spent it out of reserves, but we don't have any overage because we're not showing
That's
the
just
profit
the
and
camera.
loss on a cash basis.
But we have expenses coming out of that line item, correct?
Which line item?
The PR and marketing.
The PR, where-
Yeah,
It's in general fund.
yeah, PR and marketing is
It's usually right
over
there.
budget currently by 1,500.
Okay.
For the year to date.
Now, I'm assuming that the funds to pay that overage are what came out of reserves.
No, because so when you hit a reserve account, when
Okay.
you make an
Okay.
expense, it's actually coming out of that account.
So what we need to do is show a withdrawal somewheres on those reserve accounts with a note beside it.
Monthly activity.
Yes.
Yes.
That's all.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's-
an
That would be
activity
easier.
report on your reserve accounts.
Yeah.
Because then
And
it
then-
means you're looking at.
And the activity, the reserve account isn't constant or consistent. It's whenever the board is advised that those draws happen, which happened, I think, back in, I wasn't present at the meeting, but it was, Cindy, was that at the meeting before the April meeting? I believe so.
Yes.
September's meeting, and then, so that was my question, is I know it's only $300, but there's a $300 difference from October to November on that one fund, and we were all refunded with we had all new budgets starting October 1st, so what happened, it's only 300, I understand it, we can sit here and say it's only 300.
Was it an increase or decrease? Because of the interest. So I will have, me and Sheila look into that and we'll come back with an answer.
Mike,
Oh, that was.
You're good?
that's what I was getting at.
okay, Stan,
Yeah, I don't know, I can't find the button. It's gone. So anyway, I
they
think
made an update.
Jeff just said what I was thinking is that if there's any money spent out of any of the reserve accounts, that it could be reported at the next board meeting showing, that $50,000 was spent out of a reserve account for a emergency trail project, or some was spent for a marketing event or a trade show, something that just to show the board where the reserve money went. And it wouldn't happen every month. It wouldn't be a running report. It would just be in a month when there was a transaction made that you could report on it. That's what I was thinking. And I think that's exactly what Jeff said.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any other questions? Oh, Mike.
Just, quickly on the 398, expenses under budget. Under for the annual budget?
So it's, my understanding is when we built this report, that's a year-to-date budget figure. So if you want to see the annual budget, you look at the summary of financial report. The annual budget in which you look at the total expenses, the annual budget for expenses is $3.4 million.
So what are you saying when you say under budget year to date?
So the budget is related to the months. So they spread the budget based on the different months of the year. So I don't know the full spread. I wasn't involved with that, but I can talk to Sheila and.
Because it's seasonal here.
Cindy. Yeah,
I think we're at about 11%, which is a little bit higher than last year, and because that Green Mountain National Forest
Yeah.
money came through, that grant money, so it came in and income and went out as expense, so
Yeah.
expenses was a little higher because of that.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's pretty much in line with what it's been the last few years.
Yeah. Just, it's a little, it just says year to date, under budget,
It's now like next month, you're gonna see a huge jump in expenses because of all the startups.
yes.
Which is seasonal to that month.
Just seemed like.
Any other questions about the treasurer's report? All right, I need a motion to accept it.
What's the county make a motion to accept that? Or is the treasury report? You got it?
Second?
Right, I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Anybody opposed say nay? All right, good on that, thank you. All right, old business, Waterbury Bridge, helping,
I'm gonna put that on, for, January's, please.
okay,
It's the holidays.
we're gonna go through most of these pretty quick. They're just my placeholders to make sure we don't forget things. The financial resolution, I they have a finance committee meeting for January 16th, so we'll have an update at the January meeting for that. The plowing, applications, Cindy, you guys are still working on that?
Yeah, I haven't had time with CMAs and
So it's still on the list. And the big one, map years.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's been, it has been a slog the last few months. And, I'll be honest with you, we thought this company was much more prepared. They do really well with provinces and states that they're already working with, and so anyway, well, this staff has been working incredibly hard, to get all this up. And Map Gears has too, but we've had to hold, it's been, we've been holding a whip to them, especially the last couple of weeks. And, today they were like, well, we'll get some stuff done and then we'll get some stuff done after the holidays. We're like, absolutely not. Yeah. And, so we had a meeting with them at 1 today. So there's a big update that's going to happen tomorrow. There was another update that happened today. They're just getting some of the bugs worked out on the app itself. Some of us, I kept the free version until today. Mark Reeves had the paid version, so we were kind of going back and forth on what's available on the paid version versus, because we told them basically the free version should have everything except the grooming layer. For safety reasons, we want everything out there. So anyway, so we've just been working really hard, and we sent out, if you see anything, if you see any trails missing, please let Matt and Mandy know. If you see businesses that need to be updated, those come to me, okay? And so please do it in one email. Look at your whole trail system and then email me. I know that the J Village Inn it says that it's a hotel. Well, I've never stayed there, but I've eaten there plenty of times on Friday. So we're gonna add a restaurant icon. So as you see those that you need things added to it, whether it's a gas station that serves food, please put those all in one email for me. I'm taking them, and next week we'll start to update.
What about the location of the gas station? So on my map, it's saying that Fletcher General Store is in the middle of Jeff Village.
Okay.
It's not gonna.
Yeah, then please, even that, email me and let me know, because I want these guys to focus
Okay.
on the trails, and I will focus on the businesses, and then the trails should be set next week, but they still have to be working on it, so please send those to me so I can start working.
Okay.
Dustin, when you see things like that, if you can send a screenshot of it, that's really helpful. So if you know something's in the wrong place or something's missing,
Okay.
that's really helpful for us.
Okay.
Especially if somebody else is seeing the same thing and it's
I just watched the video again today to go back through, and I saw the screenshot and send it, so, okay.
I had questions. Mine's a stupid question. What's the difference between the color, and maybe it's documented somewhere, the purple and the green? These are all corridors.
They're secondary, so they
made
put
them
secondary, so that's gonna change a little bit too. Cause they had our secondary trail.
No, this is all
numbers.
corridor. This is all corridor, this 12 purple, and this is 12 corridor too. That's why I was confused. I took a screenshot.
Oh.
So that's why they're both corridors, but one's got the circle that says 12 in purple, one's green with the 12 in green.
Well, usually the purple wouldn't that be?
Quarter four, plus 4 green.
Yeah.
Is it based on the groomer classification? Then that would be different. Okay,
Yeah.
so
that's what the purple is. So that would be one that's like a narrower track.
is that in the training too, to show, if you see that, it's just the type of grooming machine classification that changes, will be purple in this class 4. Because I was like, well, what's the
Excuse me,
difference between my
Patty?
corridor 12 and my corridor purple versus green?
Patty?
Somebody?
Yeah, that's snow depth. Make sure you have snow depth turned off.
That's not so tough. I know what you're talking about, but anyway, we're working on all this, and there are actually, some of these have already been corrected, but they're not uploading them tomorrow. So if you're looking at it right now and you're pointing things out, we've already talked to them about the secondary and the class 4, because it says corridor 4, and I was like, we have a corridor 4, right? That's in Rutland, right? And so we can't call those corridor 4, we need to change the name. Also trail status, we're gonna change the name to grooming status.
Okay.
And the old stuff doesn't carry over, right? If everybody stays any routes, because I've seen that all over Facebook. It does not.
No,
Okay.
totally different.
Just wonder, there's a.
What, Jeff, he's got 2 people with you, so,
Justin and Jeff.
okay.
Sorry, Jess.
He just went.
Are there ways with this new system for us to go in and look at reports like we could previously? Like the mileage reports and the last runtime reports, and then most importantly for me, is there a way for me to go in and see live where my groomer is at on my trail system?
There will be, some of that's available through Atlas Tracks, which is a GPS company, but I've asked the mapping company if they could put something together, they said they would after the holidays for that, for the live groomer.
Okay.
So you can go into your club page, you see on your club.
Yeah.
So you can,
So,
but the
so
public
if
can't.
I've got my groomer halfway between my house and Belvedere and they have no service, at least I can see where they're at.
Yes, and it's also, that trail is gonna stay red until you open it. It's not gonna show that it's being groomed. So when your groomers are now out and they're grooming, getting a closed trail ready, it's not gonna show that the groomer's out there to the public. You'll
It's
see-
not gonna automatically go to green like they talked about with the
No,
training.
we changed it.
Okay.
And it won't show the real red, you show that. You're gonna look at it.
It won't even show
Closes.
that a groomer went on it
No.
if we have it marked as closed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cause that threw us off today on a few, I was like,
Mhm.
"Dude, they're out groomed, I know they're groomed, and I'm not. Put that in my list.
Yeah, we got a lot settled
Okay.
and,
Growing pains.
Another one?
I just had a
You're
couple
number
quick ones
four.
if I may.
Okay, so Jeff Fang is next.
Oh.
And then you're on.
Go ahead.
The other Jeff.
So how different are we from the other states and provinces that they couldn't just take our information and put it into a format they already had established?
we've had this conversation probably every hour of every day for the past month and a half.
So basically they started from scratch and built our new app instead of using something that they've proved for the last 10 years for New Brunswick works fabulously from what we've experienced ourselves.
Well, and some of it though too are things, we actually brought them a lot. We, said, well, what about this and what about that? And they're like, oh geez, nobody's ever asked us for that. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, so there was an element of surprise.
Yeah, there were
that we
things
brought to
that
them.
we were
Okay.
requesting, like the club, like the public not being able to see where the groomers were until you guys opened your trails. That's something they've never done before.
Okay.
So there was quite a few things that they've never done before, but still,
Okay.
we asked the same. I mean, we were like, really?
And we started this project.
April.
2 years ago.
That was kind of what I was thinking was April.
Well, even last week, they're like, we'll have it all done on Monday. Mandy's like, we're not going live till Wednesday. Because they're telling us Monday, we've already been
Right.
burned so many times.
Yeah.
And then we still didn't have it all by Friday. So,
We actually were not aware that they had released the app on the App Store over the weekend. That was not supposed to happen.
Oh, yay.
that's why there was nothing on Facebook until today.
Yep. Okay.
So
So we saw a
anyway,
lot of that on social media. People were like, well, why did we know? We didn't know either. So that was not supposed to happen. So we apologize if you received any frantic calls from any members or
and you'll
volunteers.
have to excuse us because we're not trying to be defensive, but we've gone through 3 years of hell with these GPS and these maps, and so have you guys. And so we're thankful because this is a much better system. And we're thankful where we are tonight, because tomorrow there's gonna be a lot more updates on it and stuff, and it's gonna be a better system.
It just surprised me that we're having some of these issues that I figured, for what they've been doing together, Atlas Tracks and Matt Gears. They've been working together for, I don't know, 10 or 15 years anyways that I'm aware of. I was just surprised that's all.
Yeah, we agree. We didn't even have junctions until today. Yeah, we agree.
Yeah.
Mr. Halpin?
Oh, it's my turn? I almost forgot my question.
No, I'm going to.
So these are just concerns that was, we gotta go by last name. Just questions that people have been asking me and I don't know. So when I tell them I don't know, or if I do know it, how many states around us are using the same system as New Hampshire? Because that was a rumor.
Yeah. New Hampshire, New York,
Okay, good.
Massachusetts,
I'm not lying.
back,
So
Ontario.
our neighbors are using it.
New Brunswick.
The other question that they came up with are people that have done the paid ad are having 2 icons in the settings for like gas and 2 icons.
Yeah, that's
for-
being fixed.
Okay, that's not,
Yeah.
and the other thing was from business owners. Do they have to pay to be on there?
No,
Okay, so if they just let you know or?
yeah, so what you need to do, like I said before, send me one email listing all the businesses that need updating or adding.
Or just wanna be on there?
Yeah, that just want to be on there with a description and their address, or at least their address.
Mhm.
And then, any that you see that should have another icon, if it's a gas station that serves food, but they're only showing the gas station. So if you'll like spend a few days just kind of looking at your area, and telling your clubs to do that and send me one email, that would be helpful.
I've been asked by a couple just to see if they could pay to be on it, and I said, I don't know.
No, it's free.
Yeah.
Okay, what-
That's not the
Yeah, there is an expanded one.
You're after Mike. Are you, is that all your question?
Oh, yeah.
So Doug?
Mike
And
Doug and then Mike
then Mike,
Stewart.
yeah. All right, Mike Kohler's up.
I was just gonna ask, it says about for safety precautions, the trail status, the path, the poles, or rumor. So if we're in mid-season and a rumor goes out, it's gonna shut down those trails as you go? Is that what this is saying?
Trail status,
No.
on that, trail status is not the same as trail conditions, correct?
Right,
Because it has trail status as closed
right.
and trail conditions is closed.
Trail conditions is gonna be renamed to grooming.
Trail status, you mean?
Hang on.
1 to 4 days, 3 to 4 days. Okay,
Trail status is grooming, yes, that's the grooming. Trail conditions is whether you open or they're under caution or they're closed.
Okay, perfect.
right, but so if the
Low
groom,
trail condition.
can I just tag on to his questions?
Yeah.
So the grooming showing the trail status is closed, when does it then show it 1 to 2 days?
When you guys open the trail.
But what if the trail's open? Like it's mid-season.
Then it's
great
not
conditions.
gonna, if the trail's open and your groomer's out, it's gonna show the groomer out.
Not live.
Well, there'll be a delay, but not a big delay. We
It'll
didn't have
show
a
it
delay
as
on the
like
last
dark
one.
blue.
Hmm?
It'll show it as like a
Yeah.
dark blue color.
Yeah, if you guys have an open trail,
We had a delay in the law.
So I think, the other thing, now that I'm looking at this, trails conditions should be called trail status. Trail status should be called grooming status. So we'll change those. Because trail conditions, yeah, that should just be trail status, whether it's open, closed.
But I'm still confused on like, if it's mid-season, trails are great, they're opening, we're out grooming, everything's going good. It's gonna make the trails red,
No.
the grooming status?
No,
So-
because once your trail is open,
Yeah.
your grooming status will go to the blue, wherever the groomer's gone. It'll do the 1 to 2 day, 3 to 4 day.
Okay.
It won't turn it red.
Yeah.
It's only not gonna show the grooming when your trails are read by you.
Like pre-season. where
Right.
everything's-
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Mike, you good?
I think so. What was your delay you said you're gonna have where it shows?
I don't know that,
I don't think we have them built into it.
yeah, I don't know that we have one yet.
Real-time stuff that we can't have delays in.
Yeah, because we had a delay in the old system and then we took it off a few years ago. So we haven't had a delay even in the ones we've been running the last few years.
Doug?
We wanna ride behind Roger, we can just go up and read it.
That's not a question. Where are these folks located?
Canada, Quebec.
Oh.
Mike Stewart?
They must have picked
their own data to go to the app store. I went ahead and went to the app store today and I went in, found my trails, but I could only find a different parking lot. There wasn't a town or anything on there or road, did I?
You have to put things on your,
I don't know, I'd have to look at your phone, I don't know.
You want Apple? You want Apple?
Yeah.
you have your phone with you? We can look at it after. Oh, maybe I have to bring it in and show you. Popular.
Well, it also, you gotta make sure you have plenty of service when you download the app.
I did the page.
Because if you don't, then you're only gonna download stuff,
Dustin?
I thought that it was last year and every other year, there was a delay built in so that we didn't have people out chasing rumor.
We used to, but then the clubs wanted it taken off.
Who wanted it taken off?
Come together, gentlemen.
But they did. We did, we had like an hour delay at the beginning, and then it went down to like a half an hour, and then they just wanted it gone, they just wanted to know where the river's at.
Delay is,
Yeah,
it's delayed, so it's. I got
Oh.
a lot of it.
yeah, that could, yeah,
Okay.
right.
All right, anybody else? Roger?
Two quick things. Is there a way to make it so we can update all of our trails at the same time?
Yep, you just have to.
Zoom all and
Yep.
and then open? Okay. And then my other question was so if you look at Derby's system,
Yeah.
it includes other clubs.
Mhm.
You're aware of
Everybody's like that.
Okay. That's all I have.
Is that gonna change or no?
So the notes on that are on the sheet there.
Oh,
So
right
right now,
instructions.
if you go in, it's going to show your trails and it may show a couple other clubs on there. And what that is identifying is neighboring trails.
Mhm.
So for instance, like the Berry Snowies and the Berrytown Thunder Chickens, they have a lot of trails that are neighboring each other. So it may show up if if I'm logged in on the Thunder Chickens, I might see some for the Snowies. So, right, Matt and Matthews, we are working on it. So if I, as the Thunder Chickens log in, I should not be able to make any
Right.
changes to that other club. We thought it'd be a lot more straightforward. We were a little surprised that it even showed that. But we are working to have it so if you are Club A, you can't make changes to Club B, but you can see it. So like if you're logging in and the other club's got some, that section is closed, like you can see that.
But to Roger's point, if you go zoop to everybody, you're pulling in the other clubs too, when you're making a
Right.
mass change.
Right, and
They're on the
that's
list.
something we're working on.
So just gotta be careful of that.
The way they have it set up in the system, which I was surprised at, is there's hundreds of little boxes that show each club's trail system, and those boxes need to be tweaked.
Cause a lot of,
So you need to go in there and zoom in on the trail and move the boxes.
In the old system, I used to be able to go in and I could look at everybody in the county. I could go through and put the check mark next to the clubs that I wanted to see. And then it would bring all those up and I could look at the entire county, who's groomed, who hasn't. But you're saying that you can only do one club, you're only gonna be able to do your club, or as a
What
county?
they're saying is when you go into edit Derby's trail conditions, it's showing the adjacent clubs too, their trails are pulling into that, so the box of Derby's trail system needs to be adjusted.
I got you.
To
Too big.
It's weird how they did it because it's all divided up. Like Neil, it's broken up. Like, well, I don't know, they have these boxes, hundreds of little boxes when I got an ad, right, and I guess that's what they gotta do. I don't know. It's a little weird, but I gotta move the boxes. So quite a few clubs have had that. That's one of the biggest complaints, I think.
Maybe as you're making changes, just to let the board know, so that way if we get asked questions, at least we can say, yeah, that one was fixed. If we know somebody's had a problem with something, we can reach out to.
There's a lot of fixes.
I know, no,
we will.
the big ones, you're the sensitive ones going on
Yeah.
here, so those, that.
I just give out Matt's cell phone number.
Oh.
No, give mine out.
So we'll get it.
Yeah, we'll get it. We've actually gotten really far in the past, and then having yesterday be the 15th, it would.
47 minutes into the season.
Yeah,
Still a long ways to go.
And one other thing too, is it's really, really important that when clubs go to log into the EV trails to see your trails, that you use the club email, not somebody's personal email, it's the club email. Because all of those club email lists was sent directly to Matthew. So that's what they have in order to create it. So that's really important. So if you have multiple people within the club updating, you just, everybody needs to just kind of communicate with each other, but it is that main one login. We've had that question from a lot of people. And if somebody forgets a password, the club is able to reset their own password. You don't have to give us a call. You can just do the forgot password. We will tell you that it's a very short duration. When you click forgot password, it's like less than 10 minutes that you have to click on that link. And sometimes that email, just like if you forget your email password, it may go to spam. So just make sure you check all the folders there.
And MapCures also has their own tech support. So we'll be giving all of you guys an email, county directors and officers, the email to their tech support too. So, because sometimes we'll be forwarding it on to them. So whatever you're comfortable with, but they have a response team at this company.
And we, I know we wanted to do this when I talked about it before, but I don't know if we have some kind of running. I don't know if anybody uses Teams or anything like that, where we could have bulletin board stating issue, we know it's an issue and this is being addressed. So we're not rehashing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Something that's publicly available to everybody just to see. Even if we can't edit or anything like that, just so we can see it before we put something in to look. If it's already an issue, there's no reason to call you about it.
Right. Yeah, we appreciate that. We've actually started on a list because we knew there'd be questions tonight because we know that there's going to be updates tomorrow. There is no public, but we can email it out. Like, let us get the list done and at least email. And then as you update it, we'll send it out. But I know, I remember the conversation. I know what you're asking.
You know, there's tools available like that that I can make things a little easier for everybody. But
Is there a way to add a FAQ page to the website?
We're working on that. Yep.
Cindy, Mike Garber.
To the map
Can I ask-
website.
Can Garber ask a question?
Yeah, 1 second. To the VAS website. All right, go ahead, Mike.
I want to know why there's a trails condition toggle switch. Why is that not just on all the time?
I don't know. That's a good question. We'll add that to our list. I don't know. I mean, that's a good question.
On all the time, you wouldn't be able to differentiate between corridors and secondaries.
Oh, that's why.
See yellow and red.
Right.
That's why.
And also when you're doing stuff in summer, when none of the trails are open, so there are no conditions. That's part of
But
it.
can't you control that from the
all right.
board level? Can't you control that at the office? Why are you confusing 20,000 people to toggle that switch?
We can't control it. We have to log in as every club to do. Change it.
We can ask.
I don't think it's.
I mean, I think it just needs to be, the name needs to be changed.
Let them look into it and provide your feedback. We'll provide feedback.
What's happening is people are downloading this app. They're not going into the layers. They're not toggling that switch on, and they're just thinking that all the trails are open.
I know what he's saying. Yeah, because it's not.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
So the default should be set to.
Yeah.
And like Roger was saying, it's corridor or smaller trail, smaller groomer, but do we really need to confuse the
Yeah.
general public with what groomer is using that trail? Or should it just be a trail that's marked red, yellow, or green? Are we giving them too much to think about?
I don't think it's so much about the groomer, it's just people need to know when if they're gonna be on a feeder trail that maybe not maintained up to regular standards, or it might be 4 foot wide or something. Right, if you're planning a trip, you kind of want to know what type of trail you're on.
But if you didn't have that, you would be able to, like you're saying, just default to trail conditions on.
The only other option is if we change like our regular trails, like so instead of being green, they're a different color. So then green, people won't associate green with open. But I think you can't, common sense isn't always common. Like, so just learn your app. Or just learn the app.
Are there any questions?
I'd like to thank everybody for all this work, because I see what you guys are doing with this, and I know it's a massive headache. But what I can say is that hopefully this thing works out really well this year, and then this work doesn't have to be repeated in the future.
That's our hope.
And don't worry, you're not even close to the worst IT project I've seen.
Anybody on Zoom? You guys all set for now? We can move on? All right, room's good?
Yep.
All right, thank you. All right, the 3 words Axon was mentioned last month. Roger brought it up, and we've moved that over to safety. So Stan, you guys will work on creating a standard sign, I think was the ask, correct?
Yeah, I guess so. I think I reached out to Mandy, and maybe I forgot to do it, but I thought I did, because I have no idea how to create a QR code. Because the idea was that we were going to take, I think, basically the description of what the app does, and that there was going to be a QR code on the sign that we could put out at intersections and whatnot, so that it would be very easy for people to just access it. And I am not, as I explained to some guy on Facebook today who was bitching about the new map app. I said, look, I am not savvy when it comes to this technology, and I downloaded the new app for the map and it worked really, really well. So if I can do it, it's not hard.
I have some ideas
But the queue,
So
but
Roger has some ideas, Finn, and Cindy said Mandy will help with the QR code in January.
yeah, okay, that's what I
Okay.
figured. I didn't give it a second thought because with early bird TMAs and the map and everything going on, this was not a priority. So
Yep.
not a big deal. I just need help figuring out how to get a QR code to do that.
Okay, so that'll be a January item then. All right, I also sent to the vast committees a welcome message and had the conflict of interest and all that, those documents attached to that because there are members that are on the committees that are not on the board, so they don't have that. And bylaws committee is going to be setting up a Zoom meeting to go over it with the new people that may not be familiar with the conflict of interest documents. So that's to come.
I don't have a date yet.
Nope, that's fine. That's going there. So just upcoming dates, just, we're past the 15th, today's opening day. I know some clubs did open, and just a reminder, January 10th club magazine articles are due to editor at btvac.org, or no, excuse me, to the link that they provide for the club articles. Just make sure you remember that. I think you are up for early bird TMAs.
So I emailed everybody the reports, a couple hours ago. We're just above 13,000 right now, so we're a couple thousand below where we were last year. And we sold more than 100 regular seasons already today. So I worked all weekend. I had the phones, for the most part, all transferred to me. Beth worked all weekend. Tina worked for a few hours. Mandy worked for a few hours, answering phone calls and helping people this weekend with TMAs. Since, yesterday was the 15th, felt it was important, but anyway, so hopefully we'll get snow and people will buy in regular season.
I also sent out a TMA report, the weekly stuff. Does not have the dues and donations. Just make sure your treasurers and membership people know if you have those in your clubs. The monthly cumulative, monthly report, cumulative. Whatever you put, yeah, that's the one. Thank you. Report has all that data in it. So I've had a couple of, when I've been out at different events, people asking me, I'm not seeing our donations this year. It's only in the monthly. It's not in the weekly anymore. So just make sure your people know so they don't get frustrated with that.
And Beth provided an answer.
Yes, a good answer.
They have to clear.
Yep. Makes sense.
So did you find that, was that a lot of this weekend purchases for the early birds?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It was, so it's like it usually is.
Yeah.
Last minute amount down.
Yeah.
How many less is it this year from last year?
2,000.
2,000.
Friday alone, I think we had about 16 or so walk-ins. I had people there before 8 o'clock in the morning waiting to come in.
Kenny.
People are excited. They want their pets. They want to get out and ride.
Kenny says, he goes, what time is somebody gonna be there tomorrow? I said, well, Tina gets in around 7:30, or really by 7:15. Really?
Oh,
He was here right at 7:30.
Right as soon as I got there. I unlocked the door and he pulled in.
Okay.
I just wanted to say on the total counts, the thing that I find that maybe we should look at is, seems a little strange to me, is the day after, the first day of open season when the price change happened. We have 100 people that didn't get in yesterday when there was. So we gotta look at how our message went. I know we tried hard.
Oh my God, there was plenty of messages.
But that's just for me, it's 100 people on the first day that didn't get in yesterday.
They had since October 1st to get their TMA. They've had 3 months. It's their fault.
Tell you why.
There are people that say, okay, well, the idea, the raffle or the giveaway didn't work. The problem is you can't really say that because we don't know what it would have been if we didn't do that. It could have been even worse because we've had some bad years. Financially. So we don't know if it worked. You don't have a good reading of that.
I think just in response to what you said, why people are waiting till today to buy like the 100 passes. A lot of the calls I got today were because they couldn't find their registrations yesterday. So honestly, I was on the phone all day
dealing with people that were mad at me because they didn't have their good registration. So it's not that we didn't get the message, I think, it's that they didn't get it together in time.
Yeah, and they've had over 2 months to do it, so it's not on you.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah,
All right.
we have
We can
a
always speculate
member,
on that. All right, we're gonna.
we
All
have a
right,
member that
we're probably
buys.
gonna, hopefully we'll see a lot more come in though.
I hope so.
All right.
Charlie, I got a also got a tail question.
Tail question.
What are you guys gonna, pull
Do the drawing.
This week sometime. Yeah. We were gonna do it tonight, but we've just been so busy. We didn't have time to sit there and do that, so.
Okay, that's a good question, actually. Landowner permission forms, digitizing.
Yeah, that's just something down the road that we're gonna be doing, you know, using the trail app in our databases, having it so clubs can pull up landowner permission forms and things like that. So it'll, something that'll happen later on in this next year. It's just technology wise, let us get this back going first.
Yeah.
And then we, you know, and then, I don't know, I mean, Michael Garber and I talked about, you know, the state's, you know, the plot map that the state uses and has all the span and has our trails and stuff on it. It would be nice to be able to combine it somehow, but I don't know that the state would let us do it. And I haven't had any time to look into it. We just had a conversation a couple weeks ago about it. But anyway, so there'll be more to come. I hesitate to keep it on the agenda every month just because I'm probably not gonna, you know, it's something that's gonna be trickling as far as being developed, but we've been talking about this for over a year now that we've moved to this new company.
I'll put it as a placeholder for spring. Bring it back
Yeah,
in the
we don't
spring.
even know, I mean, we're gonna just try to do it, but we don't even know if it's possible yet.
Well, it was on your report, so I just wanted to, you know,
We're hopeful, yeah.
folks wanted to know what was going on, another technology project down the road. I did a vast, president communication about a video and I posted it. Very awkward to do that, but I plan on doing one on events. And I'm only gonna highlight the events I see on the VAST website, because I want, you know, people say, well, you didn't pull mine from Facebook or this Facebook, and I don't want any of that. So if you've got clubs that have events coming, just make sure their events are posted to the VAST website. Probably in the next week, I'll, you know, once the season gets rolling, I'll doing a video highlighting the 3-day, the 25 weekend, and any events that are posted out there, just to publicize and hopefully get you more traffic. If you're not interested in any additional traffic, that's fine, don't put it there, I won't highlight it, but if you are, meaning your clubs, make sure it's up there on the VAST website under events, okay? That's a plug for the site too.
By the way, I love the video. I thought it was great, and I think it's a big help. And I'm glad to have it on there. And I also want to plug, you know, thank Mandy, because Mandy did these like everyday countdown on the TMAs on Facebook that club shared for the past few weeks, which was really nice to see. Thank you.
People didn't see it.
Hey, that's more money for us.
All right. The Trails Administrator report or the ED report, anybody have any questions on it? They both were in your package.
I don't have anything to add. Mike's gonna.
I had a question, and I feel compelled to bring it up while I got everybody here. I don't know how many other counties have trails on state lands, but if you do, I'd like to know what the state is doing to your trails. Particularly my club in Shrewsbury, we have a bunch of trails, three-quarter trails is in the state park. And the state has come in and they have destroyed our trails with water bars. One right after another, at least 3 feet deep. And I want to know if it's Rutland County or if it's Shrewsbury. Has anybody else experiencing this stuff? Federal land on
South Milo has been destroyed.
Beg your pardon?
South Milo, we had maybe one water bar on the whole backside of that mountain, and there's 27 now.
And that was working with people, right?
It's on
Excuse me,
State Park.
that was working with Kyle.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Kyle's the new steward for the Rutland
I
office.
think Kyle got taken to school last week, so.
Well, I hope.
One of the other engineers.
I certainly hope so, because he is at, our tread is the worst it's been in the 28 years that I've been involved in my club. They have completely destroyed it.
Jeff, You have stuff up in Camel Stump. We haven't had that issue there anymore.
No, but it's fairly, most of that's fairly flat in the territory up through Beaver Meadows, and, we did have some major washouts when Payson got hit in July, but they have replaced them with culverts, not water. So I can see water bars on the downhill that they.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I haven't heard anything from the roamers in Waterbury and Little River about that. I haven't heard anything from there. And what about
Pat, back to that. Can you get me some information on the engineer or anything? Do you know who it is? Or Matt, do you know who I could speak to at the state?
Do I know? I was told, but I'll get back to you.
Please do.
I can put you in touch with our county trail coordinators. We want to get things together, so.
Okay, or Matt, if you know somebody too, please feel free to share.
We've seen the email. They met with Dave Wilcox. It's the water. Yeah, I mean, the state has AMPs they have to meet too, so there is a standard they have to meet, but how we meet it, I think is the question.
This was FEMA money, so it is close.
Right. It seems to me like, I mean, they spent a lot of money. I knew they had to spend it, but they completely overdid it. It's absolutely, it's foolish.
So Pat and Matt, get him some information and share. Dustin's up first.
Is your question regarding this?
Yeah.
Mike should go first.
Just saying that we've kind of experienced the same, but as soon as we hear they're out there doing stuff, we'll make contact. And they've been pretty receptive, because a lot of times they hire contractors.
They do. They had their own contractor.
Yeah, so we just made contact, told them what we do, and they were pretty good.
Dustin?
Grooming dates. I've talked to a couple people, and some of my clubs are being kind of difficult about this. So I'm looking for something in writing about when is grooming equipment allowed to go on the trails. I know this year I was told that it's not until the 16th because of muzzleloader season. Somebody else said maybe it has something to do with an agreement between the state. But my clubs are saying every other year we used to be able to go out a week ahead of time. Why can't we go out ahead of time? Where does it say that in policy that we can't go out ahead of time? The only thing it says is that we can't get paid for it if we groom outside of those dates. There's nothing anywhere that says we can't go out on December 5th and run our groomer if we want to pack our trails, or July 15th for that matter.
It's hinged on. Definitely hinged on.
And then when I say that, the next question that comes to me is, why can't we do it at night? You're not allowed to hunt at night. I'm just looking for something on that. Is there anything?
I'll take a look at the
Policy,
statute.
is
You know,
it-
it's
is there-
really, it has more to do with the state laws.
Okay.
And I can look at the statute because the muzzle loader season doesn't always fall on, the end of it doesn't always fall on the 16th.
And I was given that answer that
Yeah.
it fluctuates year
Right.
to year.
And
depending on
that's
when
why they
the
did this like general,
So it really
But
comes
when
from
I give
Thanksgiving.
this,
So the rifle season moves when Thanksgiving moves, so
Right.
that people have that weekend.
Yeah.
That's when that Thanksgiving was late this year, pushed it close to our own.
Every 7th year. Muzzleloader will repeat. Some years, depending, they have an extended archery season that goes 3 days beyond muzzleloader.
It does this year.
Does it? Archery, yeah, so there's still an archery season going on.
so I'm just wondering if there's something somewhere.
I'll look through the
And
statute and.
It's for, I have 2 clubs that have this, they're having this argument with me.
Okay.
And they're just looking for,
I think
where's
that's
the
one.
policy that says that I can't go out and groom on the 13th? Or, somebody says no, but there's nothing in writing, so I'm getting a bunch of shit.
They could if they got individual landowner permission.
Right.
Permission gives everybody's by the 15th. You don't have permission to be out on land.
Yes.
You don't have to go to the individual landowner. They did that, I guess they could.
Does the landowner permission form say that you're not allowed before the 15th? How are they out staking their trails?
Language in there. I thought it did say something along
The biggest thing would be you're under contract agreement for Vast, and the contract dates are the contract dates.
Yeah, and I told them that it says right in, and it said it in the grooming memo, that you will not be paid for grooming outside of those days. And they come back with, well, what if we want to go out and we're not looking to get paid? And then I say, well, what if you're out 5 days before the season starts and the final drive shits the bed in your machine? Are you gonna come to Vast for an emergency grant and then they're gonna say, hey, you're shit out of luck because it wasn't part of the contract? I don't know. I was just trying to see if there's.
Sounds like you've got a lot of attorneys in your club.
You know, it's great.
Well, Cindy took it as an action item. I wrote it down, so we'll get
We'll get
some.
I'll look at this.
Do you want to let them know that you're doing a landowner forum?
Who?
Letter? The group here?
Oh,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah, no, I am.
It's in your thing.
It just kind of fell off the radar. I actually finished it. I just want to proof it again. A landowner appreciation letter. I drafted one up. And so we'll be sending that out. And I've also requested the one from the governor that he does every once in a while. So anyway, I'll send it out to you. I haven't looked at it since, the past couple of weeks.
All right, committees.
Nothing new.
Jeff and Pat, Northeast Chapter USA.
Northeast Chapter Ride is going to be the week of February, actually, I think it kicks off on the 4th through the 8th. It's Wednesday through Saturday, Malone, New York. I've emailed the information to the usual group of renegades that attend. If anybody else is interested, let me know. Just as a side to that, my Comcast account no longer exists. So if you have my address as Comcast, replace that with Gmail and stuff will start getting to me again. Because I haven't seen a whole lot of Vast related emails lately. So I'm guessing they're all still going to Comcast, which Comcast decided they we're going to get rid of my account. So, yeah, the chapter ride, planning the meetings, Wednesday evening and Thursday evening. It's also going to coincide with a, New York State Snowmobile Association group ride on Friday, and they have one of their state meetings on Saturday. So,
thank you.
USA had a meeting last Wednesday night. It was really good. Now that the elections are over, things are starting to move in Washington again. A lot of chess pieces moving around the board in various places. So when they settle, then we'll get to work. Hopefully, they're going to be able to get the RTD program updated, like they've been trying for the last 5 years. The most interesting thing that came up was that New Hampshire has a serious problem with bridges on the National Forest. And I asked Matt if we had any issues, and he said, no, not really. And then an hour and a half later, he sent me an email and said, well, maybe. The National Forest is now looking at all bridges must meet highway standard.
Oh my gosh.
So you can only imagine. They have a 90-foot bridge in New Hampshire that they need to replace. They need cranes and the abutments, the concrete abutments, all of that stuff, and they're 5 miles off the nearest road. So there's no way a crane's being there. But they're upset. USA is drafting a letter to send to the National Forest to say, nice to get your head out of your butt. You want us to sign on to it, and we're still thinking about it, right, Matt?
Wasn't that brought up at Congress last June? So by someone? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I think they were like, what? That's crazy.
I think where that's stemming from is the forest fires and access for firefighting equipment through some of these trail routes.
More likely.
Woodford have one?
Yeah, but the thing is that Matt has, like, they sent out something in October. And Matt immediately called them and started working with our folks here. And so has a good relationship with the boots on the ground people in the Green Mountain National Forest. And we think New Hampshire and Maine sort of just waited until recently to go into action. And so they're feeling like they're behind the 8 ball. So that letter is very strong. And we don't want to damage the relationship that we have currently with the National Forest here, because Matt proactively worked well with them starting in October when we got the notification. So we're a little gun shy about signing on to this because it's very strongly worded. And I told Dan Gould yesterday, Sunday, well, I worked yesterday, Friday, Dan Gould, the executive director of New Hampshire, called me and asked if we were going to sign on. I said, I don't know. We need to really think about it because we don't want it to damage the relationship we have now, and we're working together well with them. We don't want to jeopardize our clubs. You know, this is like major corridor stuff we're talking about.
I think it comes down to, do we have a problem? And they're saying they have a problem. Do we have a problem?
I think there's some overarching problems, yes, like all the bridges need to meet H20 standard trail bridge. So I asked the engineer, I'm like, why does a trail bridge 6 miles out in the woods need to meet an H20 standard? We're never gonna get a wheeled, and then, because there's a big difference between wheeled and tracked weight limits where they build the bridges to. This is a wheeled vehicle, but you're never gonna get a 20,000 pound wheeled vehicle out there. Why does the bridge need to meet that spec? Makes no sense. And I'm like, well, we kind of agree, but that's what we're being told. So I'm like, well, so that's driving the cost of these bridges way up. Decking being the major determining factor on the loading of the bridges. You're having to use like 6-inch deck. And there's some weird pressure treated standards that they went to now. It has to be a UC4B oil treated stuff. And it's special order. It's an 18-week lead time. Out of the south. Out of Texas, yeah, or somewhere down there. And it's nasty stuff. Like I saw a document on it, and they're like, the people that are trucking it don't even want to truck it anymore because it oozes all over their trucks and you can't get it off. Like it's not great stuff. So there's issues with that, but
Modern day creosote.
yeah, modern day creosote. That's what it is.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
There are issues, but I don't know. We have some of the most number of bridges on our national forest in Region 9 here than anywhere else in the nation. So, and a lot of them were built, they were built back in the 90s or 80s when there wasn't a lot of oversight. So the local club guy dragged some poles up there, threw them there. They've been there for 30 plus years, and it's like, yeah, it's time.
What's gonna be their recourse if we don't keep up with their, are they gonna just say you can't use them and shut it down?
That's what we got a closure order right after, the next day on dairy sled dogs on quarter 7. It was a bridge that we knew had some damage though from last summer's flooding. It ate at the poles. They were all splintered and kind of cruddy, and we knew about it, but it's probably okay. Well, they went and inspected it, and they're like, no. So how do you argue with an engineer that's inspecting a bridge and say, oh no, it'll hold, whatever? They've given them an option to go around. Not an ideal option, but it is an option. So I'm like, is there really a problem? They have an option to go around. Like they're nice enough to allow them to do that. So like, do we fight this?
Is there any other funding that's coming with their demands?
There's not, and I did ask that, and they said with the change in administration, they don't really know what the funding is, but they said it's not looking necessarily good, especially with the cost of these bridges. So I want to say there's this notepad or different one. I don't know. I don't think how many trail bridges are system here on Region 9. It was a pretty staggering number. I wrote it down. But so I mean that's the our underlying problem is the number of bridges that we have on our trail system is significant. There's a lot of bridges, so. But,
All the Northeast, New York, we're all in the same region. They're out of Milwaukee.
yeah, Milwaukee, yeah.
Cindy, is there any way of turning down the letter a little bit and working with them to make it fit?
Well, I think that's the only, I just don't know if New Hampshire and Maine would agree, but I think it needs to be softened, or we just do our own letter. You know, what Dan Group told me is that the people, the regional folks are like, it's not us, it's coming from the top, so you need to send that in, and then we'll send it up to the top. But,
260 bridges.
but we don't want to hurt, you know, the people that we're doing the work with. So I almost think that this, like, again, when we have a change in president, so that's going to be like, we don't know what's coming down the pipeline with that. But
They thought like last time funding when he was in office was geared a lot towards 4th Street. So they're like, oh, you know, a lot of funding may go there again versus recreation.
so we're hopeful, you know, for recreation. I think it's more of a reaching out to our congressional delegation. But the problem with that is that they're heavy on the left and we got a heavy on the right coming in. And so we don't have a lot of, you know, with Leahy not being around anymore, you know. So it's a tricky one. It's just, we'll send the letter out. Can we send it to you guys to read to see what you think? Okay. All right. I think more eyes on it because we're all like deer in headlights, you know, when we looked at this at the end of last week, and of course, being as busy as we were like, okay, we need to just think about this for a few days. And
Sometimes it's during the summer. You wonder if they do sign on to the same letter with the other states, if they'll take it more serious than if it's just Vermont.
but the fact that they're letting us do like workarounds and stuff like that, like we just don't want to jeopardize.
Right. I had a good meeting with them and I asked for,
He went down and met with them. And
I asked for the
stuff.
shape file of all the bridges so we can start looking like there's gonna be a bunch of bridges that need replacing. You know it. We don't have the money to do it. We just did one on Lakebrook this summer on Quarter 7. That was a 50-foot bridge and that was $140,000 for that bridge.
Was that on state or federal?
Yeah.
Federal.
Yeah, on Quarter 7 on top of Lake on Cup like.
So that's why he wanted the shape file, so we can start looking at all this, so we can be like, okay, here's our 5-year, 10-year plan.
Right, and that was covered through a grant through the Forest Service. We paid for it. That was some of the treasury stuff we talked about in the beginning, where we pay it out and then get it back to Milwaukee. So they're expensive, and there's a bunch of bridges we had contractors bid, and we couldn't afford to do them because there wasn't enough money in the grant agreements. So the cost is significant, and yeah, they're pretty robust bridges, but if we build them that way, they're gonna last and hopefully sustain some of these flood events we have too. But I don't know, there is a problem. It's a frustrating problem, but I don't know if it's worth stomping on the hand that feeds us.
It's not worth burning bridges, is it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm like, because the meeting I had with them was decent. I got the shape file. We can look at stuff, try to work together. Some of my issues they were gonna bring back to the regional office. Like one of the problems that the clubs have said to me, remember when we had all that AARA money, like 2009, 2002 Obama administration, we had a lot of money to boost the economy and whatnot. We had a whole bunch of bridges that got redone then on the Forest Service. Well, a bunch of those bridges from like 2009, 2010, the decking is rotting on them now. And that's why they've switched to this new UC4B oil infused standard, because those bridges aren't that old when PT put on them. And they're rotten to the point where there's mushrooms growing on them. Well, that was when they went to a tight deck. For their standards, the decking is tight. There's no air gap. And then they're decked over top of it. So there's holes in the moisture. I've seen it. And a lot of the clubs are like, they need to put a gap in there. And I'm like, I agree. So I brought that to the engineer and he's like, that way, you know, bring it back to Milwaukee to the higher ups. And he's like, I don't know. And maybe that might help. So like they were receptive. So that's why maybe they were just at face value there or something.
I think you're right, is that New Hampshire and Maine are late to the game.
Right.
You know,
Yes, the standards have been, so I've talked at different events with them about it. And like, yeah, their bridge standards have not been nearly what ours have been for the last 5 to 7 years. And yeah, they're just finally like, oh, they're coming to what we've been doing
Holy
already.
crap.
Yeah, and it's they're a lot. I mean, in their defense, they don't have the paid staff we've got, they don't
Right.
have the expertise and experience we've got.
Did you have a
So
question?
I'm gonna tell USA that we're looking into this and we'll get back to them. Yeah. But we're not gonna sign on to the letter yet. So I wanna be supportive for them too. I mean, that's, we all gotta be together on stuff too, but boy,
I'll send it out tomorrow. It's on my list.
Mike, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes,
Yeah, I know.
Is it new bridges, all bridges, or just bridges as we need to replace them?
So it's all bridges, so they have, the way it works is they're, they inspect 50 to 60 bridges a year, in a 5-year period, you do a full inspection, so it's an H10 loading that, every bridge has to have.
We do an H10, so it's not necessarily a highway, it's an H10.
So it's H10 wheel load, not a groomer load,
Right.
which obviously the groomer load and H10 is a lot different. So, that's how that works.
But it's only as we need to replace the bridge, or do you have to go out and tear down a good bridge to put an H10 in place?
So typically, we're having to go down and tear down the whole existing bridge and rebuild abutments. So yeah, any bridge wider than 7 feet has to accept wheel load for H10. Anything wider than 7 feet, which is most of our bridges, obviously.
Could we make them under 7 feet?
Yeah, we could.
You at 4 feet?
With the river's on the rail, like.
Right.
Dead end trails.
One thing they were looking at
Oh,
was
this guy in river over.
if we could do forts and not have bridges in some places. And then I did ask him, about temp bridges. I was like, does the temp bridge have to meet an H10 wheel load? And he's like, no, I don't think it does. So I'm like, okay, so there's an option. If we have a bridge closure, we could do something temporary. Their engineers come out typically in October and inspect bridges. Would anybody come out in like April? Not in October, because that's a problem. That's why we just got that closure. the other day. And they're like, yeah, they like to leaf peep, I think. They're always out there taking pictures of leaves and like.
Yeah, they don't want to be out there with the black flies.
I was like,
We'll buy them nets.
Right,
To
so
wear.
they were like, yeah, that might be more helpful. So like I said, they were receptive. I mean, it would give us a little bit of lead time and not have a closure like 2 days before the season opens. So anyway, that's the scoop with the bridges. A lot of times it is the old specs on the era built bridges were for a 7,000-pound groomer. Nobody can tell me for the life of me where that spec ever came from. Tucker Snowcats have always weighed a little since day one. I'm like, where did the 7,000-pound spec come from? So all those bridges have too much decking and they will not hold, I mean, they're holding the groomers around now, but.
But Jeff had a question and then Mike.
So Pat, that's not just New England though, correct? It's national forest,
period.
not nationwide.
But we have the most bridges of all of the regions in the US. So we're gonna feel.
Right.
Mike?
I was just gonna say, if you have good local connections, why not shoot them straight on? With the, hey, listen, you guys are amazing, but we got a fight overarching thing here. And just say, we wanna write a letter that may read that it's against you guys, it's not, it's about, so they understand the factor.
They were sort of upfront about that with me, like, hey, don't blame us, this is getting handed down to us, and I kind of joked, I said, well, anytime the club gets upset, I just blame the regional office, and they all thought that was like, okay, good.
Does anybody else have any more questions for Pat, or Pat, do you have more for that, on that?
That's it.
Okay. Jim, Rails Conservancy,
Nothing new to report?
Gary Nolan's law enforcement, Cindy,
Nothing new to report.
Amber, nothing new, awards, bylaws and policy, Lauren?
So you got sent something about, a new policy for the ED review. And Patty and other people had some comments, so it's gone back to the Personnel Committee for review. And then we'll be meeting after New Year's, right? Can't remember the date that you proposed. Oh, so.
That's why I can remember.
My memory's not that bad. And then we will be working on it because we do need to have it in time so that you can approve it and it can be put in effect for the next ED review. Yeah. So it was going to be ready for this, and then there were comments and suggestions, and Mike, I forwarded your stuff to Julianne as well. Yeah.
And then we're gonna do the conflict of interest.
Yes, and I gotta come up with the date to talk about conflict of interest.
The annual meeting, there's nobody here from Madison, right?
Nope.
Executive committee, we met, last Monday. We went through and created the agenda. We talked about a few things going on in the office. So that's a reoccurring monthly meeting. So all good there.
Mm-hmm.
Julianne?
We're touched on everything there.
There we go. Wow. Financial,
Nothing new to report?
our January 16th meeting.
Yep.
Long range?
Nothing right now. I'll start that after the new year.
Resources not current. John? Trails.
Our next meeting should be, I think, January 6th.
January 6th.
Days out.
Right. Safety stand?
Yeah, we did meet this month and the updates were made for the online safety committee program, our safety meeting program, safety course program. Couple of minor tweaks, and Jacob was going to forward it on to the third-party provider. We're continuing to work. We have a couple committee members that are working on this safety refresher program to be used at club events, and there's going to be a kind of a pilot event in January and potentially a second one a little bit later on in February. We're going to continue to work on the ideas for this safety tent that we're going to tentatively calling the Adventure Readiness Program, to be used at dealer open houses throughout the fall coming into the season. And then at the next meeting, or actually it'll probably either at the next governor's council meeting, we're going to discuss this idea of the off-trail riding video that they use with the Quebec system when you get your Quebec trail permit. And that's it.
Thank you. Social media lead just sent me an email today. He's trying to get everybody on the committee to respond. So he's going to just schedule a meeting for mid-January. He's having a little trouble with some responses, so.
Another text her.
He texts just fine. I've seen his emails going out. So he's just gonna set something up for January with those that are responding and just move forward. At Governor's Council, I know you said something that's in our package, right?
It's supposed to be in the package. I don't see it.
Oh, no, this is the motor vehicle one.
So one of the things that the Governor's Council does is that it is made up of the following organizations: VAST, secondly, Natural Resources, Commissioner of Fish and Wildlife, Commissioner of Public Safety, Motor Vehicles, Sport Parks and Recreation, President of the Vermont Sheriff's Association, Vermont Police Chief, 5 members appointed by the governor to represent the geographic regions of the state. And those are all vast directors that are sitting in this room right now. Well, not really, one of them's up there. And what I did is I basically broke out the 14 counties and assigned them to each one of the, actually 2 of them are up there. Assign them to the representatives so that when they bring back issues from around the state to all of these state organizations, we can adjust what needs to be done. Right now, most of them aren't getting any feedback from the other counties. And I'm asking you guys, if you hear from Jim or Stan or Jeff, Mike, please respond to them if you have issues that any of these state organizations can help us with. You have law enforcement problems, all of the law enforcement agencies that we partner with, that we contract with, are represented on this commission. And we're talking to the people in charge of those organizations. So if something needs to get done, it will get done. I'm actually quite pleased with the law enforcement representation we have on the council this morning. They're a lot more active than they were years ago.
Is Mark going on?
Yes.
He's good. No relation.
There's a good Mark Poole and a bad Mark.
Which one's your son?
My son is also Mark Poole, you figure it out. Well, this Mark Poole is Greg's neighbor. At one point, both Mark Pools worked together. Well, that's the thing I wanted to bring to you guys is that the area representatives need, some feedback from you if there's issues. If there's nothing, that's fine too, but this council meets until June, so they'll be there if we need them to move something for us.
On the Matt, it's kind of a two-part, Matt, on the registration where you pay the $28, we get all that money back to Best. The clubs in my county have been asking for years, that $28 has been the same forever. And we need funding, and the state of Vermont really gives us nothing. If there wasn't COVID, we wouldn't have got the money to repair the flood damage. I mean, that $28, I mean, should probably go up to 35, but even if it went from 28 to 30 to just generate more revenue for Bass to use.
The problem.
I mean, I bring it up all the time and pretty much it's a non-starter. That's the answer I get back, but I think it needs to be pushed more.
I have gone, I don't know, 4 or 5 times over the past 10 years to the governor. He doesn't want to increase fees. That's a big thing. So that's why they gave, I mean, that was one of the reasons that we got the COVID money, was because I went in and asked for, you know, what if we did a registration increase? And, you know, the answer was, well, what do you need the money for? Well, here, maybe we can take federal money, which was even more money than we originally had gone in there for. But
the way the bridge thing is coming about and all the added expenses, I mean, that's the only revenue we're ever gonna get going forward from the state of Vermont. If we can increase that registration.
I agree. I
So the legislature gets absolutely nothing out of snowmobile registration, so they don't care. Basically, they're not gonna put any effort into trying to raise snowmobile registrations because we get it all.
Mike, you had a comment?
I'll say, I thought registrations went up 20% across.
I thought they went up.
No, not snowmobile. We weren't included.
I thought it went up a couple of years ago.
It went up a couple of years ago.
Right.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 years ago.
It went from 25 to 28 or 26 to 28.
Yeah, that was like 7 years ago, actually.
And I think don't they keep like $17,000?
They keep a small $11,000.
$5 per registration, right?
No, that's law enforcement.
$5 goes to the transportation fund.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's a admin fee of $11,500
Yeah.
FPR.
per hand.
Right.
So I guess
And then there's another $5 that is just for law enforcement.
But we do get that.
Yeah, we do get it to pay for.
And that's all funding the SSTP, right?
Yeah, that's all.
That's the other thing this council does, is it approves the SSTP budget. It's in your packet every month. The board looks at it, the council looks at it and approves that report. Typically, there aren't very many questions on it. It's pretty straightforward. If you look at that budget, it's what, $600,000 or $800,000 in that range. That puts it together, we review it in May and then come back and approve it in June.
Do we have a question?
What would it take for us to
We do.
We already get a percentage of the gas tax. And when I've asked about, can we get that changed? They're like, do you want to lose some of what you get?
Because once you open that law, it can go either way.
I mean, I was told directly that. So it has been, because I was like, well, let's change it. I mean, it's been the same for 20 years. They're like, you're probably gonna lose some if you go and ask.
If we get 3/4 of 1% capped at $148,000.
And the thing is too, you know, with our membership going down, I mean, I really hope we get some snow. I really, really do. Because, you know, not only are we losing members and losing money, we're losing influence. You know, Mark Reeves and I were just talking about this the other day, last week, you know, like we used to be able to go in there and we still can, because I'm very politically, sensitive. And so, but it's still, you know.
Vermont tourism, all they care about is skiing.
Yeah.
Because they've got their new launch room, because we got to watch a video today.
And it's not from lack of us telling them,
No,
you know, it's just.
trust me, I know.
But to be honest, and the skiing is a good example. They had a fine year last year because they could make snow.
Right.
Whereas anywhere from Houston County, Maine to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan last year, didn't have a good year snowing them.
I mean, the
So-
good thing is too, also, is that we have Frank Steiner, who's an amazing lobbyist and has like great relationships. And I'm not afraid to go in and ask. Like, I don't want you to think that I'm afraid to go in and ask. It's just that it has to be very, yeah. Because we learned a long time ago with Brian about, you know, unleashing a.
Yeah, Frank's good. I actually ended up playing golf with former Lieutenant Governor Zuckerman this year through Frank. Because he's like, look, you don't have to see eye to eye with him politically, but you have to they needed someone, and he's looking for someone from Vast, and no one else would go except me. Yeah, and so it's, you know, with politics, it's you have to be smiling.
Anything else, Pat, on the cover stuff? So take advantage of those folks that in your areas. Thanks. Is there anything else that we didn't cover tonight that anybody would like to bring up?
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you to the Vast staff and Patty for putting this together.
I didn't do much.
Well, look, you had me hand out all these.
Where's mine? No, I'm kidding. It's.
They came down and decorated, they arranged catering, Patty was here early. Even made a box of cookies for us. We don't get together very often, but it's nice when we do. But sometimes I think people can misunderstand each other over Zoom. So it's good to see all you guys in person. Have a good holiday season.
Yeah, Merry Christmas if you celebrate, or Happy Hanukkah.
No, we're adjourning.
Happy New Year. I'm
No,
looking
she
forward.
needs a motion.
Want to call, anything else? Are we good?
Yeah, I'd like to say something, okay?
Oh, that's right.
You never be quiet.
It's been a long time since we've had one of these.
I know. I was Caledonia County Director for 25 years, okay? I've worked for Vast for over 50 years, building bridges, culverts, you name it, right? But I'm just so glad to see, with all these new directors, the board hasn't changed the list.
That's good.
I'm not gonna say that.
Whatever you want.
You know Kenny well enough to know.
I want to keep friends with everybody, but there is one thing that everybody should remember. Years ago, we had 133,000 acres up by Island Pond that they weren't gonna let us ride on. And I went up and I asked the people there, does anybody in this room know who owned that land? Well, sure, it's a federal government or state government, whatever. I said, well, where's the address? What's his name? I am the federal government. I'm the state government and I'm the town government. I own that land. And before we got done, arguing all some along, they realized I do own that land, and so don't you. Because you're all taxpayers. Don't let them bullcrap you any. Because we are not gonna ride on that land, seriously. If it wasn't for me getting up and saying something, you wouldn't ride up there by Island Pond at all. That's how serious they were about it. So don't let them pull this crap about these 20,000-pound bridges, because you're not gonna get a cement truck back there to put, and that's what they wanna do, is just keep you off the land. Just remind them every now and then who owns the land.
Thank you.
Put that in your letter, Cindy.
All right,
I'm on it.
motion to adjourn.
Thank you for inviting me to.
Washington.
Thanks for showing up, Kenny.
Washington, 742 Washington, second. Getting in. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Cookies, bags here.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm bringing all these cookies back to the office.